We begin our demonstration with a Creo designer who is working with an assembly opened from Teamcenter. This designer is operating in a CAD-centric mode, meaning that he is pulling the Creo design from Teamcenter into his Creo session, using the integration's CAD-centric interface. The open dialog appears. Here, he can search for his Creo models in several ways, a simple search by item ID, data set name, etc., with advanced searches that are defined and maintained in Teamcenter, or by navigation through the Teamcenter folder structure. Here, we are searching by data set name. Selecting a model of interest will cause its thumbnail image and its properties to appear in the summary panel, providing information such as release status. This panel can be configured to display any desired set of Teamcenter properties. Configuration settings such as revision rules are available in this dialog. The destination workspace can be selected or created. Additional options can be defaulted to either true or false. Finally, if the assembly has one or more simplified representations, it can be selected. The Dependencies dialog displays a preview of the files to be downloaded, in either flat or tree view. The columns on the left display the status of each model. Now that the assembly is in this user's Teamcenter cache and he is actively referencing or modifying it, he'll want to know if the Teamcenter status of any model changes. This is the main purpose of the Cache Manager. The columns on the left indicate whether a model is in session, has been locally modified, is superseded by a newer version or revision, or is released or checked out. When one or more models is selected, the right mouse button displays several different cache-based operations. The buttons in the top ribbon bar operate on the entire workspace. Workspaces can be created or deleted. There are two different levels of refresh, depending on whether any filtering has been applied. Update downloads and opens newer versions and revisions of superseded models. Files can be deleted or purged, as well as copied out from and into the current workspace. A comprehensive set of filter options is available to limit the workspace view to only files of interest, based on factors such as modification or superseded status, model types, and much more. At all times, the applied filter options are clearly identified, and can be reset with a single mouse click. Now we will leave the first Creo designer to his work. In the next section, we'll see how a Teamcenter change notice is received and processed by a different designer, without ever leaving his Creo session. This user, working on a different workstation and perhaps even in a different city or country, logs straight into Teamcenter from within Creo. He finds two tasks awaiting him in his Teamcenter inbox. We will focus on the change notice, because the other task is an assignment within the change notice. The change notice provides all the information needed to execute the required design change, including graphical markups, written details, a listing of problem items, affected items, and reference items, and a workflow tracer. Our Creo designer knows he will have to add a SolidWorks subassembly to the Creo design. He could easily do this from within the Creo session, but it is also convenient to copy the SolidWorks assembly from the referenced items folder, for later use in the structure editor. Now we are seeing the Creo assembly's bill of materials. It's apparent that this assembly is released, so any changes will require a new work-in-process revision. It's also clear from the 3D rendering that both the battery pack and the fasteners are missing from this assembly, hence the change notice. Before proceeding, the Creo designer selects an active change context, to capture the history of all his changes so that they are available to everyone in Teamcenter. He is unable to add a subassembly to the Creo design's bill of materials, because it is released. He can easily create a new working revision. This allows him to paste the SolidWorks subassembly into the structure. Not only does it appear in the BOM listing, but it is shown in the 3D rendering of the assembly, providing a preview of how it will appear in Creo. With a single click, he sends the updated Creo assembly from Teamcenter into his Creo session. He replies to the same integration dialogues as our first user, although in some cases these dialogues can be suppressed for a more streamlined workflow. In the Dependencies dialog, the SolidWorks design is shown as a subassembly of the Creo design, reflecting the update performed in Teamcenter. The files are downloaded to this user's cache, and the integration inserts the SolidWorks assembly into the Creo design. It is up to the Creo designer to add any CAD level constraints that are needed. This is an example of direct design reuse, as opposed to reuse through a neutral format such as STEP. The advantage is that, with the necessary PTC licensing, the Creo design will automatically adapt as changes are made to the SolidWorks subassembly and are saved to Teamcenter. The integration's configurable attribute mapping has created or updated several Creo parameters, as shown in the model tree columns. To add the fasteners to the housing subassembly, the Creo designer opens the housing in its own window. Now screws are added where needed, from the Creo standard parts library. Several Teamcenter functions are available from right mouse button selections in the Creo feature tree. For example, component occurrences can be selectively omitted from the assembly bill of materials. This is detected as a change, and the user is prompted to check out the assembly. In fact, he cannot check out this subassembly, because it is released. However, he can still make the changes, and we'll see later how the modified subassembly can be saved to Teamcenter. Another option allows him to find and retrieve drawings related to the selected model or models, so that they will update as their 3D models change. Another way to retrieve related drawings, for an entire assembly or an entire workspace, is to use the Cache Manager. First, filter by modification status, because it's only necessary to open drawings whose models are modified. Then select the filtered results and get their drawings. When retrieved this way, drawings are loaded into session but are not opened into their own windows. Now this user is ready to save his changes to Teamcenter. Several save options are available in the ribbon bar, as well as from the feature tree. Save looks for modified and new models under the active assembly. Save as makes all models under the active assembly available for save to new versions, revisions, or items. The Save All and Save As All are the same as the first two, but operate on the entire session. In this case, the appropriate choice is Save All. The Save All dialog contains models that have been modified, or are completely new to Teamcenter. Here we see both conditions. The drill assembly and its drawing can be checked out, because their C revision is not released. The housing subassembly and its drawing have also been modified, but are released. They must be revised before they can be saved. The new revision is work in process, and the integration automatically selects its models for saving to Teamcenter. Finally, the designer must decide how to manage the new fastener that is being saved to Teamcenter for the first time. Based on integration preferences, it has automatically been assigned to an item type that has a specific naming rule. Until a compliant item ID, and other required properties have been assigned, it cannot be saved. However, the assigned item type may be changed, and in this example the standard part item type does not have a naming rule or other custom required properties. There is an optional vendor property, which may be left blank because it is not required. In this example, the integration has been configured to automatically translate and save different types of 3D and 2D derived files, as well as to invoke model check during save to Teamcenter. The save will be either blocked or allowed, depending upon whether the number of model check errors or warnings exceeds the configured limit. A maximum of 1 error and an unlimited number of warnings are permissible in this example, so the save is successful. The updated assembly can be viewed in Teamcenter. To confirm the new fasteners have been added to the sub-assembly, with the quantity of 5. Remember that earlier the designer had marked 3 occurrences to be excluded from the bill of materials. This user can now sign off on his assigned tasks, and the change notice will advance to the next assignee. Now let's return to the other user's session. He has been referencing or modifying the same Creo assembly. How does he know about the changes made by others, and how can he merge those changes into his active design? When his workspace is refreshed, it clearly shows that new revisions of 2 assemblies are available in Teamcenter. These models are automatically selected for update. He can even filter the display so that only superseded models are shown. With a single click, he can bring his workspace and its in-session Creo models up to date. Optionally, he can see a preview of the additional files that will be downloaded. This includes the SolidWorks files for the battery pack that was added as part of the change notice. The additional SolidWorks and Creo files are downloaded and the in-session assembly is updated to contain the battery pack and the screws. He might want to know who made the latest changes, and exactly what was modified. This information is available from the change summary that was captured by the other user who executed the change notice. Here we can see that the battery pack was added to the top-level assembly, and 5 occurrences of the fastener were added to the housing sub-assembly's bill of materials. This concludes our brief demonstration of the Teamcenter integration for Creo. Thank you.